In today's lesson, we're going to explore the concept of comparing two things. Often we talk about things being bigger, smaller, more expensive, higher, lower, lighter, heavier, more interesting, etc. This is comparing, or making a comparison between two different things. We're going to start with two very obviously different things, and this is not opinion, this is fact. Often when comparing, we're giving an opinion, which can then open up for debate. But for now, let's look at Australia and Nihon. Australia and Nihon. As countries, we know factually Australia is a lot larger. So if we're talking about it from the Australian point of view, we would use the adjective oki, being large. We do not need to add anything to the end of oki, but we do have to learn the sentence structure to work out how to say Australia is larger than Japan. So we'll start with Australia in our sentence. It will be the first object, and we will say Australia. The phrase that comes after the first item in our sentence is no hoga. Ho in Japanese means on the side of or in the direction of. So we're saying that Australia is larger, or the concept of large is more on the side of Australia than Japan. So no hoga is on the side of Australia. Then we put Nihon, Japan, and it is followed by a little word yori that roughly translates as than. But instead of coming before Japan, we say Japan yori rather than Japan. So our sentence becomes Australia no hoga Nihon yori. Then we have our adjective, and in this case we're using the adjective for big, oki. And in polite terms we can end in des, to say it is or they are. Our sentence then becomes Australia no hoga Nihon yori oki desu. Australia is larger than Japan. Another example would be if we were comparing foods, and this is more of an opinion situation, I'm sure. We're going to talk about keiki, and you guessed it, we're going to use the adjective oishii, as in delicious. The other object that we're going to compare with is the Japanese traditional natto. Natto is an interesting flavour. For a lot of people, it's pretty hard to take, and it's certainly, in my opinion, not nearly as delicious as a cake, particularly this strawberry cream cake. Keiki no hoga, because the cake is more delicious. Natto yori, more than the natto. Oishii desu. Keiki no hoga natto yori oishii desu. You just have to organize your two objects and the adjective into the correct places in the sentence to create the polite form sentence, the cake is more delicious than the natto. Keiki no hoga natto yori oishii desu. If we were planning to eat out in Japan, we could look at prices, particularly if you're travelling and trying to watch your budget. Sushi, a very popular food. Sushi no hoga, because it is more expensive. Sushi no hoga ramen yori takai desu. Sushi is more expensive than ramen. Ramen being the noodles, and you can get a very cheap ramen meal, which is fantastic on a cold winter's day. Sushi no hoga ramen yori takai desu. If we were talking about the seasons, and once again a logical, simple sentence made out of fact, natsu being summer, natsu. If we're comparing them in terms of heat, natsu no hou ga fuyu yori atsui desu. Atsui meaning hot, natsu being summer. An easy way to remember that is we eat nuts in summer. Natsu for summer, fuyu for winter, and atsui meaning hot. Natsu no hou ga fuyu yori atsui desu. Summer is hotter than winter. In most cases that is a fact. Natsu no hou ga fuyu yori atsui desu. Placing the names of the two objects we're comparing and the adjective into the correct place of the sentence. Another simple example would be hikouki no hou ga densha yori hayai desu. The plane is faster than the train. Hikouki no hou ga densha yori hayai desu. Haha no hou ga chichi yori kibishii desu. My mum is more strict than my dad. Haha no hou ga chichi yori kibishii desu. The next step is for us to look at how we would create the question, because it's often the situation where you want to ask somebody to compare two things and give you their opinion. We start with the two objects linked with to, A to B, if we're looking at it in a formula. A to B, the two different things you're looking at. We follow that with to and the word dochira, meaning which one. No hou ga. So which one is more is the easiest way to translate dochira no hou ga. Which one is more? So we have the two objects, for example, Australia to Nihon to dochira no hou ga ookii desu ka? The ka on the end of the sentence acts as the question mark. So in Japanese you actually say the question mark. Australia to Nihon to dochira no hou ga ookii desu ka? Which is bigger, Australia or Japan? And the answer down the bottom, we put the two objects in the right place to say Australia no hou ga Nihon yori ookii desu as the answer to the question. The question for our foods, keiki to natto to dochira no hou ga oishii desu ka? The placement of the objects at the beginning of the sentence with dochira no hou ga, which is more, followed by the adjective. And of course the answer, depending upon your own opinion, keiki no hou ga natto yori oishii desu. The cake is more delicious than the natto. If we were comparing the seasons, natsu to fuyu to dochira no hou ga atsui desu ka? And of course in this case a logical answer would be natsu の方が冬より暑いです。